Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and we're going to do the Round Hill Roundup. And is AI finally making the calls for him? That's an interesting conversation. So let's talk about how I did last week. Oh, wow. Look, I said 27.5 for XDTE, and they paid 27.4. I said 25.6, and they paid 25.2. I said 34.7, and they paid 33.4. I did give a little additional there for interest. They didn't use it. And again, I don't know the exact share count. I started messing around with that, and plus or minus 10,000 shares can drive it either way. But I want to say, hey, it's going to be close enough for you to know next week's distributions, plus or minus. Next week's distributions. I looked at it. I only took down what I added in for interest. But you're going to be about 24.5 cents for XDTE, 24.3 for QDTE, and 38.6 for RDTE. Somewhere around that dollar amount, plus or minus a little bit. Who knows? Share count goes up and down, but share count's been pretty steady. So QDTE, no strikes through the money. Look at that. Those strikes going through. Not bad. I've been tracking the VXN. That looks pretty good. It's been pretty steady up and down. You can try to correlate that to what they're making. That's a tough one because I look at some of this going, how close do they make it to the money? How far they make it from the money? And it's hard to tell. It's about 23.3 cents what they made this week in the calls. I'd also noticed that their shares went slightly back up. So they're almost back up to exactly the same amount of calls that they were making a week ago. So we'll see how that plays out. XDTE, same deal. Wow. Nothing went through the strike. Not bad. About 18 cents. The VIX has come down. That really tells me that they're not making as much money for the calls. But hey, 18.6 cents. The VIX has come down. Nothing went through the strike. Can't complain about that at all. At least from my point of view. RDTE, you can see that indicator of volatility for the Russell is still higher. That's why you're getting higher distributions. But hey, nothing through the strike again for RDTE. That's about 33.8 cents per share coming 2 weeks from now. Not bad. Now, you did have a big jump in the amount of strikes on Friday. That might come back to see how that plays out. I didn't see a large increase in share count, but hey, that strike amount, the amount of strikes that they were selling definitely increased. See how that plays out for you. So distributions 2 weeks from now. XDTE 18.6, QDTE 22.3, and RDTE about 33.8, thereabouts. And you can see if I add a little bit of interest in, how it changes the numbers a little bit, but it's going to be pretty close to those numbers. Unless they're overpaying, underpaying, moving something around, share count changes. Anything could happen between now and then, and I'll look at it again next week to see how things have changed. But really, it's decimal points of a penny if any changes happen whatsoever. Lastly, I found on my LinkedIn the other day a strategy for day trading, intraday trading. And it was kind of funny. I brought it up and said, wow, that looks interesting. I wonder how close those are to the actual calls that they're selling on XDTE. And lo and behold, it's not that far off for the most part. Now, you have to adjust it every day for the VIX. And I didn't do that. I just took an average for the VIX. But you could adjust it every day for the VIX and look at what the VIX number is to come up with what your strike should be, or approximately what your strike should be. And this is actually, the red one lines are actually what their strikes were. So you can see how many go through the strikes. It's an indicator. Centrium bands, concentrium bands. And again, people use it for day trading. They use those bands if it's going through it. They buy the market and they use the next band as their close. So I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but hey, I came across it. There was a white paper on it. It looked pretty good to me. I just put it on there to see how it looked. Might be something you want to try yourself, but I'm just going to pay somebody to do it for me. I mean, I looked at T-Spy and those strikes were right there too, and they close them out. But if you really wanted to do this, you could do it yourself. Just pointing out what indicator you might want to use to get you started in doing something like this, because somebody made mention they were trying to do something like this with SPY, and you could use the same indicator on SPY. You can use the same indicator on QQQ, just you have to change the volatility of it. Might want to test it, see how it works out for you. Not financial advice and no guarantees that it's going to work, but it looked pretty good on a time frame of about 30 minutes and a look back period of about 14. So hopefully you got a little value out of this, of how things are done. And I'm going to leave a card for the math someplace. That way you can go check it out. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Until next time, God bless.